back in the day, Klean had his NDA lifted, and I did not. So, but Klean knew I was wanting to get in like video editing, that kind of thing. So I was like, hey, bro, if your NDA is lifted, mine's not. Go get the footage I need because you don't have a watermark on your screen. And I was like, I'll chop it up and just make something for fun. Well, we did that when we released it under his name. The video was called Welcome to Tarkov, and Nikita had told Klean that he put Welcome to Tarkov on the truck when they first expanded customs over by that side where the storage is. Put Welcome to Tarkov on that truck as a nod to that video that I made.
In the first episode, we covered much of the history leading up to the period of time surrounding the initial open beta of Escape from Tarkov. It wouldn't be until later on in 2017 that I started playing Tarkov, so it seems appropriate to also hear from the OGs that were already heavily immersed in the game back then to get an idea for what the game was like at this point, what their day-to-day experiences were, their struggles, and more.
So we have our guns, we selected some supplies. The way you empty and load ammo is the exact same way as DayZ Standalone. So if you have experience playing DayZ Standalone, then this game is going to come pretty natural to you. If you don't have much experience in that game, then it might take a little bit. If you're used to more traditional shooters, there is a bit of a learning curve. But trust me, games like this are always rewarding.
These were private servers for Tarkov back in the day when I was working with them. We never released this video. I mean, it's very raw, not good with the editing. It was just to kind of get the idea.
Погнали.
Had a private client like we do now, similar to what we do now, like for like events and that kind of thing. But we had a private client back then. It's very hard to set up though. Like it would take like 4 or 5 hours just to get one round in, like to where we all could actually get in, because it was so hard to set up early on in like the development stages of Tarkov. It's so difficult. Yeah, this was Scav update was out.
hate this spawn. Wow. Body armor? That's why you didn't die in one shot. Motherfucker had body armor. That made me nervous. Oh, he had a Sega? Oh, fuck. Fuck just hit me. My head. He had that guy at a Saiga. I want to go back and get that.
Ever since my first raid, Tarkov was a game that time and time again forced me to ignore my prior experiences and destroyed every one of my expectations. The one thing I knew was that when I died, I lost everything I'd have, so the first thing I did was take my alpha container off my character and left it in my stash. At this point, I only had a few pockets, so I loaded up with the Makarov I had and took one extra magazine and a stack of bullets. Only a few locations were available on the map, but I recall that Woods was the only one that had Breeze listed as the difficulty, so I figured that that'd be a good place for a beginner like me to start. The time of the raid said something like 2:30, so I figured it'd be a nice afternoon raid, and I couldn't really change the time anyway, so I loaded into my first match. When I spawned in, it was pitch black. Now, being a civilian from North America, the 24-hour clock wasn't something that I commonly needed to reference, so it hadn't even crossed my mind that the 2:30 was 2:30 a.m. I wandered around blindly, terrified, and after a few minutes came across a Scav with a flashlight. In complete panic and with my mouse sensitivity way too high, I sprayed all of the bullets from my magazine, and after I heard the click from my empty gun, I rapidly spammed the R button, causing me to initiate a fast reload of the pistol, dropping the magazine on the ground. I did manage to kill the Scav with the second mag after he blasted my leg off. Now, after opening the inventory, I was confused to find that I didn't have the other magazine. I struggled with the UI for some time, but eventually managed to remove the current mag from my gun, and then quickly realized upon trying to reload it that I didn't bring the correct ammo for the Makarov, so I had no more ammo. I spent the next 40 minutes or so limping around in circles in complete darkness, trying to find anything other than grass, trees, and rocks. My character wasn't going to heal over time. I had no objectives or waypoints telling me where to go on the screen. I had nowhere to see where I was going, no idea where I was, and even if I wanted to go somewhere, I wouldn't know how to get there. At some point during this impossibly frustrating experience, the screen faded to black, and I was taken to a screen that told me that my character had gone missing in action. I had failed to extract in time and had been killed. I sat there looking at that screen silently for a minute or two, and then I promptly closed the game and didn't open it up again for at least 3 months.
I loved the you couldn't pick your time. That's cool as fuck to me. That creates so many unique battles, flashlight battles, night vision battles, and I miss that so much, dude. Not picking the time zones. That was so cool to me.
Now, do you remember your first raid, like ever?
Yeah, it was on Factory. I brought in a Grotch, and I played offline because I was just like, oh, I don't know what to do. This is scary. You know, I kind of got familiar with the inventory and stuff like that, and I kind of learned what the controls were, because back then you couldn't rebind your controls. It was just like, here are the controls, and like, this is how you play, and you couldn't change anything. And I just remember going around killing some scavs and stuff, and like looting them, and like opening jackets, and like opening all of like these random containers and stuff, and I was just like, this is amazing. I was just blown away, because like I said, like everything about the looting aspect of the game was what I've always wanted in like a survival FPS. Like there's items laying on the ground, there's items inside containers, and there's like jackets and duffel bags and all these things that you could open up. And I always thought that was so interesting, because being like a DayZ player, like you walk into a room, you see items on the ground, and then you leave if there's nothing there. That was it. That was the extent of the looting. Where this game, it actually really felt like you were looking inside everything, like not only just in the environment, but also the containers, and there's something to be found in them. And it was just so cool to me.
So this was July 12th, 2016. I think I just got home from work. This is during the first month the game was accessible. And my first raid was an offline raid on the map they call Small Map. It wasn't Factory. It was Small Map. And I loaded up with a 226. I spawned a glass hallway. I think I forgot to turn AI on, but all I could remember is just like checking my mag and like just being so scared. Like everything looks so new, something like I've never played before. Because I came from playing maining DayZ. Yeah, I thought I had people in my lobby, but I was an offline all alone. But I was so scared. I don't think I left that hallway for like 5-10 minutes because I thought if I died, I'd lose all my stuff in offline mode. The great thing about offline mode back then is you could die in the raid, and anything you grabbed in that raid, you get to go back to your stash with. I think there was probably less than 100 active concurrent players in that back then. So offline mode, we could loot and bring it back to our stash. But yeah, my first raid, I just played glass hallway for 20 minutes because I was so scared.
And soft skills. We don't know too much about soft skills yet, but they will be coming very soon. So it would be really interesting to see how that has an effect on the game. And if you have maps, you can take a look at some of the area maps as well to gain better knowledge of where you're going to be playing. Eventually down the road, there will be flea markets and auction houses. Of course, they're just not implemented into the game just yet. There's actually another escape for a key. I'll show you guys that in just a second. With the magic of YouTube,
This is like maybe 0.1 patch or 0.2, something like that. Dude, we used to... Leg meta back in the day was more of a thing than it ever was because armor was so OP. So what we used to do for fun, we used to rock M4s with 60 rounders, right? But we used to just mag dump each other in the chest because it did like maybe 5 points of damage and nothing to your actual thorax because there was like no blunt damage back then. So like our only way to kill people, because there's no face hitbox either, and the Kiver was the best helmet. We just leg each other. Like that's how you killed each other. You just shot each other in the leg. It's like the armor was too strong. Man, we didn't have anything though to heal blocked out limbs for such a long time. It was just if you got a blocked out limb, you had to leave the raid because if you took any more damage to that limb, you'd die instantly. So think of it as a raid. Like how much is a leg health? How much is leg health now? Well, think of that being your whole character's health bar, okay? Because the moment you get a blocked out leg and hit again, you die instantly.
One of the most significant things for me, I think, getting into Tarkov, at least at the time when I got into it, was the scarcity of attachments, the scarcity of weapons and modifications, and you know, just how sort of visceral and physical and realistic the weapon handling felt. As someone who's an amateur shooter myself, shooting these guns that were mostly stock with iron sights is pretty much what my experience in real life was limited to. I have to say that this experience, you know, struggling to, even when you had some form of optic on a fully auto weapon, you really weren't shooting full auto unless someone was like point blank. Otherwise, for the most part, you'd have the highest chance of success shooting controlled, slowly, and semi-auto. And because the characters moved a lot more like they had weight and inertia back in the day, there was a completely different dynamic in the fights. They felt totally different, and in my opinion, they felt a lot better.
Because now it's like for the most part, your gun's always pointed at the center of the screen. Back then, like if you had a 100 ergo gun, you didn't have a dead zone at all. And that's when ergo is actually powerful as fuck. Also, high and low readies used to be a huge thing back in the game as well. Because as soon as your weapon would have any kind of collision whatsoever, your guy was forced to high or low ready. Whereas now your guy does like this fucking Rambo thing, and he like perfectly is able to basically drag his muzzle in and around corners perfectly, and that just reinforces like the whole AD strafe meta. You wanted your gun ready because if you started getting shot at, you needed to re-engage as fast as possible. But then, whenever you noticed the sprinting, nobody really knew that they could kind of exploit shift stutter stepping back then, because it just wasn't something people thought about. People were just like, oh, I want my gun ready all the time. and they weren't ever wanting to put their gun down because, like, if you got caught sprinting, that was usually one of the most vulnerable times that you'd be in as a player. And like the TTK back then was a bit different as well. Armor is way more tanky now than it was back then. I mean, that's when people realized that like playing faster was more advantageous because there were no downsides to playing fast. There's only really bonuses. Because, you know, players now understood that, oh, if I hit shift, let go of shift again, right as I'm about to hit a corner, my character is going like 20 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. And that basically gave you peak use advantage. And, you know, that's still a problem today.
I still enjoy Tarkov, but I enjoyed older Tarkov more than I do current Tarkov. It definitely is two different types of games back then than it is now. Back then, I think us as players were more worried about playing a raid and having a good time and making an experience and trying to survive the raid versus, you know, making a clip or doing something for a video. Now, I definitely think Tarkov is more based around people trying to be competitive with it, just to send it with clips. Man, we played Tarkov to survive. We were scared. You know, we were really involved in it. My dream Tarkov, the Tarkov I grew up playing, dude, we were playing slow. We're playing tactical, dude. Like it was, you're playing Tarkov, you're getting immersed. There was none of this name calling. It was just, you're playing Tarkov, you're surviving. And now there's so many goddamn titles involved with playing Tarkov that it kind of takes, you don't want to play slow, you know?
One of my least favorite things during this period was the door animations. Whenever you'd open close a door, you would get stuck in the animation for what felt like forever. So if anybody was ever standing on the other side of the door while you went to go open it, you were pretty much a sitting duck.
Well, back then, having like a million rubles meant something back then. It was actually like impressive, and you could actually get by for a long time with about 1 million rubles. And now that's like a fucking loadout for most people.
Oh, baby, baby, baby.
That was a good fucking run.
I'm gonna die. I'm greedy. Oh. I don't know why that didn't work. Wow, boys. There's your Makarov challenge. We went in with a Makarov. We got a pump shotgun, a fully automatic shotgun, and a silenced AK. That's the juice we just got out with. Wow. Wow, we have a lot of fucking weapons. Wow, the juice.
All right, we're back in some Tarkov. This time with Lieutenant Knife. That's all we have. Oh, well, Dan, we're gonna count you out here. Don't you ever count us out. Look, are we gonna take anyone down with our knife? Probably not. However, we're gonna be able to scavenge some stuff. You better believe it. I thought that was a dead body. We may just have to rush someone here. God damn! What? In the face. In the throat. In the freaking kidneys. He should be dead. What the heck? Sneak attack. Sneak attack. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's definitely some kind of bug. Unless it's a decoy strat. I don't know. Watch this. Oh, he knew. He knew we were about to drop the axe hammer on him. Do we get any of that stuff? All items brought to you into the raid or found have been lost. What about in our bag? Please be in our little beta box. Oh, that certainly was a beta move, Dan. I'm not trading. What's in our character? Wait. What is all this? And we got it. Let's go. We got pistols. Where did all this stuff come from? A yak pack, rubles up the wazoo, bandages, Tushkanova. You guys been holding out on me. I didn't know I was sitting on the motherload, but we're gonna play some more Tarkov tomorrow with the motherload. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. Who would have known?
Wait, who's
this dead guy?
Wait, who's the USEC right here?
Yeah.
Wait, none of us are USEC, are we?
Nope. No.
Wait, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, what? Wait, who?
I remember, like, I first started playing in July of 2016, and it was all I played. I went from Daisy Standalone, and I started playing a lot of Squad during its alpha stages. And I was really big into Squad and big into Milsim and stuff like that. I feel like maybe it was because, like, I used to love Metro 2033 and, like, the Metro series and stuff back then. And, you know, here's another, like, you know, kind of Russian-esque, you know, survival shooter game. And, you know, I saw the trailer and I was just, like, blown away. And I was just like, man, I can't wait. You know, can't wait to play this. And at first I was like, man, like, they want $140 to play this game. I'm like, no fucking way. Like, I can't do that. And after, like, my first or second raid, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I was blown away by, like, how this was basically the FPS game that I've always wanted. The gunplay, the looting, stuff like that. Like, it was everything that I envisioned about a survival FPS game that I would have wanted. I was one of the few people who bit the bullet and, you know, paid the $140 to play the game, because a lot of people don't know back then, like, you bought EOD and that's how you played. And that was the only way to play. It wasn't the standard accounts or any other edition. My original job for Battlestate was to acquire licensing for the company, but I shortly found out that I couldn't do that because I was in the Marine Corps at the time, and being a part of the DoD, you can't coordinate, you know, domestic fire manufacturers with foreign agencies. And I didn't know that. I was just happy that, you know, this Russian game dev company I'm a huge fanboy of wanted my help. So I told them about that, and then they moved me to PR, where, you know, it was basically my job to get Americans and English speakers into Tarkov and just get them interested in the game.
In September of 2017 came patch 0.3, which consisted mainly of bug fixes and other changes aimed at improving the stability and performance of the game. October 2017. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was approaching the height of its popularity. Much of that was due to the streamers and the content that they were creating surrounding it. One of the more prominent content creators in the PUBG scene at the time was someone I had been following for a while, an ex-Counter-Strike professional turned full-time streamer. Michael Gazeshek, aka Shroud.
I still remember the first time I ever, like, hung out with Shroud. I was like, hey man, I'm like, nice to meet you. Like, I told him, like, you know, I don't know a whole lot about you, but, you know, obviously I know you're a big content creator. And I let him know, I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, this game isn't like PUBG, because, like, I know you play a lot of PUBG and, like, you know, you play like Counter-Strike and stuff, and, like, Tarkov isn't like any other FPS game out there. Like, it's just not built the same. And he goes, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, dude. And I'm like, dude, trust me, like, can we play off stream for a couple hours just so I can kind of get you familiar with the game before you stream it, because I want you to have a good time and understand what's going on. And he goes, yeah, sure. And so we ended up playing for like 6 hours, from like midnight to like 6 in the morning, just playing. And we were just having a great time. And I was informing him about, like, yeah, there's 545 ammo, and there's 762 ammo, and there's 556, and, like, there's all these different ammo types. You need different mags for guns. And he was just blown away. He's like, what do you mean the green box ammo doesn't go to all the rifles? What do you mean the 762 doesn't go on all the 762 guns? He was just, like, so dumbfounded by, like, the level of detail that Tarkov had compared to a lot of the other FPS games at the time. And then the next day he streams it for like 6-7 hours, and then he streams it, I think, that entire week straight before he kind of went back to PUBG and stuff.
There's some locked rooms in there that'll spawn like sniper rifles and like.
Yeah, I want to get some keys. I want to get some keys because I have none. Once again, that was my.
Along with November came patch 0.4, an update that brought a bunch of new mechanics, features, and items to the game.
So now the Scavs, they have really good pathing now, so they'll actually go through and they'll, like, open up doors, they'll kick doors in, and they'll, like, be walking through this building sometimes, so you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Oh, we also have blind fire, check this out. So if you hold Alt and W, it's like Smalley Pirate.
They added that shit?
Just Alt W and just hold it, and then you have Alt S and then you'll go to the side. You only can blind fire to the right now.
That's fucking wild that they added that. I
Yeah,
heard that they were gonna add that, but I thought it was gonna be late.
Right, I'm opening up 218 right over here.
Yeah.
See if we can get a gun. Got over here magazines. Oh fuck.
Is that at you?
Yeah, I just got hit. I'm good though. They're outside.
Dude, scavs don't fuck around. Oh. No.
He just domed me point blank. I thought I killed him. Was he wearing fort?
Looks like he's wearing. It looks like he's wearing fort. Let me check. No.
If he's wearing
No.
Fuck, man.
Holy fuck, bro.
He clocked me, bro. I told you the game is on a whole nother level now. Like you really have to you gotta be on your A game now.
Holy fuck. Bro, how many fucking guys are there?
I told you, as soon as you shoot a loud gun, man, all of them come to whatever that fucking gunshot was. They're like, oh, let's go over here now.
Someone's kicking down a door. Is that Scav?
Scavs will kick in doors, dude. Like, it's this. I told you, man, this game is this patch is on a whole nother level than it has.
This game feels completely different, bro.
I'll
What's
just run some
Pilgrim?
craft rigs. Pilgrim, that's the new massive backpack. So it's like the civilian backpack from DayZ, pretty much. It's like
Better
this
than a
massive
Tri?
backpack. It's bigger than a Tri-Zip, yeah, by one more row.
Say no more, fam.
Say no more, fam.
Holy shit, bro. That was insane. I've never seen a scav react like that. Okay. Normally AIs are just stupid. They ain't playing around. Alright, that AI is still clueless, but that's okay. I want to loot, but there's no time to loot. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to leave this building.
Along with the ability to bind voice comms and gestures to hotkeys, as well as a significant overhaul to ammunition, this patch saw the first major change to Factory, the addition of nighttime. Point 4 also came with the addition of some of the most iconic items in Escape from Tarkov: the Pilgrim backpack, the Coalpack helmet, the 3M armor, the AKM, VPO 136 and 209, the DVL, and the OP SKS. There's so much about the essence of what the game was like at this point that's hard to communicate, but it really was a different game in so many ways. To provide a bit of contrast, let's take a look at one of the quests that was recently adjusted for this patch, Punisher Part 6. This quest required that you killed 18 bears in 2 hours. And when I say 2 hours, I don't mean 2 hours of game time. I mean 2 hours of real-world time. If you started the quest at 5 p.m., you had until 7 p.m. to finish the quest. All that time spent waiting in queue, getting geared up between raids, and frantically searching for bears, which, at least in North America, were a very small minority of the actual players at the time, was time that the quest ticker was ticking down towards 0. If you think some of the Jaeger quests now suck, how much do you think you would have enjoyed Punisher Part 6 during 2017? Now, as fate would have it, it was watching this exact stream that convinced me to purchase Escape from Tarkov and try the game out. Just like so many that came before and after me, I jumped in with no information about the game other than what I had seen from a few minutes of Shroud's gameplay. Not long after my introduction to Escape from Tarkov during the 0.4 patch, 0.5 was released. Some of the noteworthy updates in this patch included dynamic weapon sizing in the inventory. Until this point, the grid size of weapons in your stash was static, independent of whatever modifications or attachments it had, as well as other relevant things like the state of the folded stock. Additionally, the inventory slots that your PMC had for the various kinds of headwear in the game were adjusted. The slot for helmets, caps, and other things that essentially go on top of your head was moved to directly above your torso. And then the slot that it replaced, the goggles slot, was split into two discrete slots, one for face cover and one for eyewear. Overall, this was an improvement to the looting and equipment experience, and gave a bunch more options for both utility and aesthetics. And finally, dog tags were added as a lootable item on every PMC that upon collection would show up in a post-raid kill list. The next noteworthy change to come along with 0.5 was the expansion of Shoreline with the addition of the resort.
So in this video we are going to be talking about the best loot spots for you to loot in the new Shoreline map. A couple of things to note before we get started. I'll be using this map that you can see on screen. It'll also be linked in the description for you. It is basically probably one of the best maps we can get for the new expanded Shoreline at the time of this recording. So the first new place we will be going is the observation station. Now this is just northwest of the CCP temporary extraction point. So the next location we'll be going to is the water treatment plant that is just west of the observation station. But the main reason I'm including this is there is two green weapon boxes behind two locked doors on the second floor. I'm including this because I have seen a couple of people be able to jump from the rafters into the window, so that is the only reason I'm including it, because you can technically, with enough trying and enough effort, get inside the office and get the weapon crates.
And finally, we saw the addition of a bunch of new exciting, powerful, and even controversial items. The Fast MT, as well as the armored attachments that came along with it, became one of the most valuable and sought-after pieces of equipment in the game. Coupled with the extremely rare and expensive Reap-IR thermal scope, and a few new guns, the two most noteworthy being the Remington RSAS and the Shrimp pistol, this marked the beginning of an era. No longer were your biggest threats rocking a Kiver Paka and a modestly modified AK-74. Now the engagements that most dreams and nightmares were made of at the time started by seeing that Fast MT mandible, hearing the deafening blast of 7.62x51 semi-auto fire, and was often accompanied by bright yellow goggles and a giant purple backpack. Right before the end of the year, this patch and the hype that it generated gave birth to one of the most iconic Escape from Tarkov memes.
Hi guys, welcome to another talky video. It's another rant, I'm afraid. Bloody hell, what is wrong with people? What the fuck is wrong with people today, guys? So here's the problem. Escape from Tarkov. It's a new first-person shooter. It's made by Battlestate Games, okay, a Russian company. Standard edition. Okay, you buy the standard edition, $34.99. You get bonus equipment at start as well. You get a knife, tactical rig. Well, you can see. I'm not going to read them all out, but you see, it's mainly. I don't know much about how good these are, but they look shit. 300,000 rubles, which is probably not a lot of money. For $57.99, guys, that's a hell of a lot of money. That $57.99, $57.99, guys, for a game that hasn't got a campaign. It's a lot of money. The same old bull, but you get an AK-74 in with 2 loaded magazines, which you didn't get in the last one, and additional backpack with 4x4 slots. That will be extremely useful, guys. That's a big advantage. I've played a lot of these types of games, and one of the things that is always at a premium in these games is space, inventory space when you're looting and stuff. So that's good. $79.99, guys. 79, £80, 80 euros, 80 euros, guys. Fucking 80, $1,000, because this game has an like an AH, so that's going to be very handy having $1,000. You can go straight in and buy shit straight away in game, which is another huge advantage. The Edge of Darkness limited edition for 110 pounds, guys. 110 euros. 110 euros. And I'll tell you why the fanboys say this isn't pay to win. For those who want to support the development and have something special in game, and that's all. Yes, something special like a
Fucking sniper rifle, huge first aid kits, loads of ammo, submachine guns, assault rifles, big backpacks, body armor. Yeah, something special, guys. Something just ever so special to blow the fucking brains out of all the little scrubs who didn't buy all of that gear.
Fuck you.
110 euros. And what do you get with this?
What the fuck, dude? Are you serious? I can't even fit this in my stash. What the fuck? What is this? I can't even grab this, man. This thing is huge. What the fuck? Ah! No! No! First item Nikita ever made, like as a joke, was the meme BSS. He made it when he was on the train somewhere on his phone to remote desktop to his computer, and he just made it.
Escape from Tarkov during 2017 was a different game. Different from any of its competition and different from what it is today. We had no healing animations, no surgical kits, completely different ballistics and health systems, and no guides or wiki pages existed yet detailing their inner workings. We had a tiny fraction of the guns, gear, maps, and ammo that we have today, and even a smaller understanding of how they all worked. Along with less items available to us, the traders had an even smaller availability of items for sale at each loyalty level. We had no flea market to buy anything that we wanted, and we had no hideout to craft whatever we needed. That meant that every new quest reward, every trader level, every room and body we looted had the potential to be something new, something rare, maybe something we hadn't seen before. That lack of availability, the rarity and the discovery that came along with it, these were things that were largely celebrated within the community. It made all of us playing the game, while it was still so new to us, excited and passionate about it. That was the Tarkov we fell in love with. The fact that it was slow, immersive, punishing, and rewarding, the fact that we didn't have thousands of guides giving us all the information we could ever need to know, was what made it so mysterious, exciting, and unique. The fact that people who had been playing for longer had a clear advantage over us newbies because of the superior gear, and to a larger extent because of their experience and tactics, was something that was actually encouraging. We wanted to be like them. We wanted to play like them, so we grinded, we died, and we kept going, over and over and over. We celebrated every victory, and even in failure felt excitement over the small opportunity that we just had to be David taking down Goliath. Consider for a moment just how much the community has grown and changed since then. Consider how much more there is to do inside of Escape from Tarkov now compared to then. All we had was an endless cycle of gear up with whatever we had lying in our stash, raid, loot, die, and repeat. That was all we had, and that was all we needed. We weren't entitled to the same gear as our enemies, to be able to complete each quest easily, to have access to every item in the game from the start, to a means of acquiring nearly infinite gear and money outside of our own success in survival and raids. We didn't have rats or chads. The decisions of the dev team weren't there to help or hurt casuals or streamers or no-lifers. We were a small community at the time, but we were close, we stuck together, and we all shared a mutual respect for our fellow Tarkov community members. Although the gap in gear quality between the folks just starting out and the veterans who'd been grinding for months already was wider than it is now, in many respects the speed of the game, the movement, and the weapon handling and ballistic mechanics seemed to lend itself towards more exciting, more dynamic, and longer-lasting engagements all around. Injuries were more punishing, and we had fewer ways to remedy them, but the fact that we seemed to survive at all much more seemed like a miracle. Those moments of surviving, hanging on by a thread, is what got our adrenaline pumping, so many of them memorable and iconic. We would do our best to learn from our mistakes, be better prepared for future scenarios that mirrored our past experiences so that we could react, adapt, and be more likely to survive in the future. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what was so different back then, what was better and what was worse, and it's equally as hard to forget both what we take for granted now as well as in the past. So much progress has been made since then, and so much has changed both in the game itself, the development team and their experience, goals, and vision, and how the community surrounding it views, experiences, and plays the game. While many of us content creators and community members were beginning our struggle to find our own identities within the online gaming community at the time, so too was Tarkov amongst its peers in the FPS space in 2017. So far, we've covered a tiny fraction of the history of Escape from Tarkov, and we're only getting started. There's so much more to come, and I look forward to doing my best in sharing this story with you all. I'm grateful and humbled at the support that I've received on Patreon since episode 1 first released, and ask that if you haven't already, and if you think I've earned it, consider becoming a patron to help support me making content like this in the future. Thanks a lot.